Alright, let's go ahead and mute the Twitch page, send out Twitter stuff, make an announcement, and connect the bot. Alright, should be good. Also, I should probably walk on screen. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is January 25th, and this is the January 25th TextQuest Devstream. Hello, Dusted Ham! Welcome back! How are you today? Alright, so today we are going to be continuing our work on ASCII art minigames. Specifically, we're going to be starting with the same minigame we were working on Tuesday, which is the minigame that shows up when you're transitioning from the plains to the forest, or to the woods. I really should correctly say the name of that level. I always say it forest, but it's woods. Hello, Sky! Welcome back! How are you? Well, also, how are you doing today? I don't know how to ask that question twice and say it. Anyway. Gonna be looking today, got some stuff to do. Alright, that's fine. Doing good? Yourself? I am... I'm doing alright. We'll see, as always, how this Devstream goes. Hopefully we can finish up this transition minigame by the end of this Devstream, because I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to make these minigames in a relatively short amount of time per minigame. I think the bulk of it is going to, most of the time sync is going to be in the initial stages when we're setting everything up to, actually function. But after that, hopefully making a new minigame won't take that long, because I have a lot of transitions. Especially because I basically have 2 minigames per transition. One going from level A to level B, and one going from level B to level A. Those, for the most part, will probably be the same minigames, but they'll have slight alterations, so, it's twice as question. Trying to get Sea of Thieves to work. You'll have to let me know if that's any good. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, but group minigames like that, things like Sea of Thieves and Guns of Icarus aren't really my thing. So it never really appealed to me, but it seems like it could be interesting. So I guess let me know what you think about that. Anyway, so today let's start off by, so we're going to need to dynamically generate this path label. And to do that, we are going to want, it's going to be a little weird. So we're basically going to start with a base string, which is going to be this topmost layer here, and then we're going to have a number of iterations that we want. So I'm kind of going to take the quick and dirty way out. So instead of trying to detect how large my label is, because there's not a good way to do that. Instead, I'm just going to have 2 different integer values, one for 16:9 aspect ratios and one for 16:10 aspect ratios. And then I'll just query my UI and say, okay, what's our resolution, or what's our aspect ratio? If it's 16:10, then I'm going to do this, and if it's 16:9, then I'm going to do this. And then things should basically behave the same for the most part, because there's not really going to be much of a physical difference between 16:9 and 16:10, but there's about 1 line worth of space that's available when we're in 16:10. So. And you can see that when I do this. There's just like 1 extra line, roughly, worth of path that could be there. So let's go ahead and go back to 16:9. Now we're going to open up our minigame. And we'll get started. I'll be your inside informant. So what you're saying is that you'll be the person that I pay to maraud a place to let me know about its riches. Like a privateer of some kind. If only there was another word for that, though, that I could think of. Alright, so we're going to go ahead right about here. We're going to say serialize field, private int, and we're going to say path, wow, how do I want to phrase that? Path iterations 16:9. Wow, this is a terrible name. I hate using numbers in my titles. And we're going to have that be, what, by default? Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so about 12. And we'll have another one that's going to be 16 by 10, and that's just going to be 13. It's going to be one extra. There's been a too early glitch on Sea of Thieves that just got fixed. Too early. But another glitch that has been spotted. It won't load the message of the day, which you have to load before you can play. Huh. That's weird. Also, I wonder how that got through testing. That seems like a thing that they would have caught. But let's see. We're going to go up here, and we're going to say using system.text, because we're going to need to use string builders. Otherwise, we're going to generate a ton of garbage every time we generate this stuff. All right. So first things first, we are going to. Oh man, can I do that? String builder. We'll call this path is equal to new string builder, and we will go ahead and give it path start text by default. Can I dot append another string builder? Because that would be nice. I can't, can I? I have to. Boo. That's not really going to save me much now, is it? Alright, fair enough. Then that means I need to actually... Jeez. Okay. So we're going to change this a little bit. So this is going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4 spaces wide. So we're going to change this to another int that's going to be path start width, I guess. So serialize field, private int path start width is equal to 4, and that will just be the number of spaces between these characters. Private char, no, sorry, also const char, and this will be our path char, and that's just going to be that. And we're basically just going to programmatically generate the string. But the reason that I have to do it this way is because if I don't do it like this, then I'm going to be appending strings anyway, which won't really save me. Well, the string builder won't save me from generating a ton of garbage. So I have to kind of do it awkwardly like this. But it will, prevent me from generating garbage every single time this minigame fires. The too early glitch was that when you tried to launch it from the Xbox app, it would say, sorry, you're too early. That, okay, what does that even mean? Like, is there such a thing as a game being too early? Or was that saying, like, it wasn't actually released yet? Maybe. That's weird. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we are going to change this. So we're going to just have a new string builder, and we are going to want to say for int I equals 0, I is less than, I'm going to say 0 for now because I actually need to set that number, I plus plus. Alright. Oh, and by the way, I apologize if my audio or anything sounds off. I had a Windows update that was applied yesterday, and that seems to have messed with my my settings a lot. Like, I had to finagle with my streaming settings a bunch before the stream, which is why I was a little late, because it seems like Windows reset a bunch of my default settings. So hopefully everything's set up correctly, but let me know if it glitches out or sounds strange or anything. Because for like 5 minutes, my avatar wouldn't actually flap his lips when I talked, and I couldn't actually get my audio to go through OBS. So hopefully that's all fixed. I'm assuming that it, yeah, so okay. As long as the audio sounds pretty decent, then I'm assuming that I got everything. Anyway, so to start off, we're going to go ahead and say int, I guess we'll just say path count is equal, how about path length is equal to, okay, no, this is UI dot no. Do I have a ratio? I don't have an aspect ratio. Well, thank you, Dustin, for hosting. I really need to get like a emote thing. Oh, I guess I do have that. I have the hosting thing. I need to customize that because I think that's the same thing as my following one. Anyway, I thought I had an aspect ratio here. I have a aspect fitter, but do I have a ratio? Okay, that's not a valid thing. I can't actually use aspect ratio like that. Give me a second here. We are going to go ahead and go to UI. Go to definition. Because I have to be able to use the aspect ratios here. Aspect ratios equal to aspect ratios, set reference resolution, find all references, where are... Okay, screen extensions, there we go. That's what I want. So I want to say screen extensions dot aspect ratio. I guess it's just that. Oh wait, no. Screen aspect ratio. There we go. Is equal to aspect ratios dot 16 by 10 question mark. Okay. So we're gonna grab this. Go back here, paste that in. So if that's true, then we are going to set it to be path iteration 16 by 10, else it's going to be path iteration 16 by 9. I'm also going to go ahead and rename that to path length instead of path iterations. Path length 16 by 9, rename path length 16 by 9. Go ahead and tooltip these so that I don't forget what these are. So this is going to be the number of lines on the path when the player, when playing in 16 by 10 aspect ratio. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that, put that up here, make that 16 by 9. Okay, so that should work. And now we can change this to say less than path length. And we're just going to say path.append. I guess we'll say path char. Then we'll do path.append, path underscore char again. And in between that, we're going to have another for loop. It's going to say for int j is equal to 0. J is less than... I'm going to want to say... What is it? Path start width. Path start width. Dot... I'm sorry, not dot. Plus I. Then j plus plus. And then we're just going to go ahead and say path.append. Char.whitespace now. Okay, so I need to go ahead and do that too. So we're going to go ahead and say private const char path center text. I don't know how to phrase that. Path center char is equal to this. So that should work. Let's go ahead and move this down here. Ta-da! Alright, so that's a very simple loop, but that should generate our actual path. And then, of course, after we do this path char, we are going to want to also append path.append. That's going to be our new line. Alright, so this should programmatically generate our path. And I guess to start off, we'll go ahead and one, let that compile. And two, I'm going to open up my loading test minigame. I'm going to say minigame.initialize, and then minigame.start. Oh, you know what I totally forgot to do is I need to set my... Oh, hold on, let me go and close some of this stuff. I need to set my initialize here to actually affect text. So I need to say... Get rid of the extra spacing here. We're going to... Do I have a reference to my path? I do. I'm going to say path label.text is equal to path.toString. Okay, so that should programmatically generate my actual path here. I think that screen... I don't remember if this will actually work, but just to be sure... yes, okay. Oh, crap. That's not good. That's actually... oh, shoot. That's not okay. Go to definition here. Screen.current resolution. Can I... no, I am not crazy about that. Crap. I guess actually I should change this to, instead of screen extensions dot screen aspect ratio, which gives me the actual aspect ratio of my window here. Well, not my window. It actually gives me my desktop. So my monitor, which will always be 16 by 9. For us to detect 16 by 10, instead I need to do, I think, this. Extensions like get aspect ratio. And then I'm going to have to pass in game settings dot width. And then game settings dot height. I'm like 90% sure that that's what we're going to have to do. Just to be sure. Yes. Okay. And I want to actually be totally sure, so I'm going to go check this. Set resolution. Yes. Okay. So the reason we have to do that way is because otherwise I will always get the aspect ratio of the monitor, not the aspect ratio of the window. And if you're playing in windowed mode, that will give you inaccurate results. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. One of these days I'll learn how to speak. So I'm going to change that little line of code there. So it's kind of annoying because that made it super long, but that should work now. Let's go ahead, let that compile, and then we can assign our values and references as we see fit. Path label, drag that in there. We no longer need path start text. However, I will just double check that these are 4 spaces because that seems kind of wide for 4 spaces, but I don't doubt that it's actually 4 spaces. I just want to make sure that it is. Alright, let's see, path label. Okay, so we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we should be good. Let's go ahead and just delete that field real quick. Do we use you anywhere? Nope, good. Get rid of you. Haha, streamlining. It's the best. And we're not going to worry about tree prefabs. So, assuming that this works, our next step is going to be spawning obstacles and having them scroll. And then after that, we'll go on to things like spawning trees for the sides here to have them scroll. Amongst other effects. And then we'll have probably text that gets shown up at the top. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I'm going to have my loading bar up there or not. I don't know if I want to show that. Okay, so let's go ahead, save the scene, and hit play. I probably should have cleared my path label because I have no way of knowing for sure if this is going to look correct or look different, and it shouldn't look different, which means that it'll work, but I won't know if it worked because it will have already looked like that. So let's go ahead and delete that stuff then. Or at the very least, let's get rid of everything up to the actual first one. Okay, so it should fill out exactly the same, or do exactly the string that we would expect. All right. Turn off maximize on play. Cool, cool. I wonder. Oh, good. We pulled in global, which I guess makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and show an Explorer. I'm going to change my settings. Oh, that's the custom game one. Let's see. So display. So we want this to be, what is it, 1200 by 720? I think that's right. Hold on, let me double check. 16 by 10 resolutions. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure. Oh, it's 1280 by 720. Is that right? I thought that was 16 by 9. Whatever. 1280 then. 1280. Oh no, 16 by 9 would be 1200. Okay, so if we let that go, this time when we play, we should play in 16 by 10. It should read in that value and say, okay, you're 16 by 10. So it should go all the way down. And if it doesn't, then I'm not calculating it correctly. Please work, please work. Ah, it didn't work. Let me make sure that this is correct. It says that it's 1280, which means that it should think that it's 1280 at the very least. Okay. Well, I guess then we're going to... Wait, what? That doesn't make sense. I'm going to go ahead and debug that value because I want to make sure that this is doing everything as I would expect. So we're going to say aspect ratio is equal to that. And then we're just going to go ahead and say debug.log. We will do string.format. We're just going to say 0, a new line, and 1. Go ahead and separate that, 2. And we're just going to say that will be ratio followed by this. All right, so let's go ahead and give that a shot. I want to make sure that it at least is parsing the right things, because it could be that it's not. Oh, actually, you know what could be happening is when I make that request to get the current screen size, it probably doesn't initialize it, and therefore it just grabs the actual screen width of my monitor. So at the very least right now we should be able to confirm that because we'll see the output that it gives us. Okay, so yeah, it's doing that. Boo! Which I guess means that I have to do, I think I have to do this, game settings.load. Oh no! Oh no, that's terrible. Alright, then I have to do global.get game settings.load. Ah! Seriously? Did I not? Is that not a public function? That's not right. There should totally be a public function to tell it to load. Set bool, set string, refresh settings, refresh graphics settings, refresh audio save settings. Huh. That's kind of weird. Public static void load settings. Not entirely sure why I don't have that. Instance.load. Think that I would. Okay, so game settings.load settings, and that should force it to properly update. So hopefully this time it'll be correct. It's very important that we support both 16 by 9 and 16 by 10 aspect ratios. I wish I could support more than that. However, that would take a great deal more effort for ASCII art management, and I can't do that. The best I think I could do as far as aspect ratios is try to support old school like 4 by 5 and 3 by 2 aspect ratios, but I don't think it's worth it to try and support more than really 16 by 9 or 16 by 10. Okay, so let's try this again. It should load everything, and this time it should be correct. I really hope so. I'll be kind of sad if it's not. I'm kind of sad because it's not. Oh, that sucks. Okay, that can't be right then. I am going to go ahead and change my settings to 1200. See if that forces it. Okay. Because if both are like that, I'm kind of not going to have a good time. I guess I could also go ahead and check out UI for this. So, oh, there it is. It's 1280 by 800. Okay. See, that makes more sense. 1280 by 800. I wonder why that aspect ratio that was shown to me was not right then. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. And yes, we got it. Okay. Still a little bit of space on the bottom, but I think that's okay. That's not terrible. Point is that it's close enough, and that's all I was really caring about. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch back over to 16 by 9. We'll go ahead and set my settings back to their correct value, which is going to be 1980. Wow, that was terrible. 20. Seriously? 1080. There. Okay. Let's go ahead and let that go. And now we can actually go about setting up all of our transforms that we're going to need to do. So this is going to be kind of interesting. We're going to have like a series of actually, you know what? No, let's do this a slightly better way, I think. So I was originally going to have a series of transforms, but I think it would actually be easier to just have two transforms, one at the top here, so at the horizon level, and then one at the very bottom. And then we'll just have a integer field that we can adjust to tell us how many scale iterations that we want. And that should actually make it a little bit easier for us to adjust those values to make it more interesting. Hey Garrett and Scorpio, both welcome back to the Devstream. How you guys doing today? As far as how goes the question, Garrett, pretty good. Asking it up here and trying to get things done. Thank you, Scorpio, for hosting. And yeah, so that's where we are currently. So I'm going to go ahead and move the hero underneath. Do we want to move him underneath this? Oh, of course. I was wondering why our hero was not moving with the screen. So we probably... Actually, no. The hero is going to get parented to 3 different transforms. So let's go ahead and call this our game area. Game area. And this is going to... maybe not. Let's go ahead and call this the player area. So these are going to be the areas with 3 distinct transform values. Actually, could we do it the same way there? You know what? I bet we can actually just do this with 1 transform. So let's try to do this. This is going to be the area that the player can move around in. And for this minigame in particular, the player is only going to have 3 positions that they can be in. They can be on the left, they can be in the middle, or they can be on the right. And depending on what direction you go, you'll just snap into position. There won't be any sort of lerping or anything like that. So we would basically go from like... That's the wrong thing. We would have the player... So where the player currently is would be the center. Left would be here-ish. Right would be here-ish. And that movement would be instantaneous. But we're going to go ahead and change this. So I'm guessing that we're going to want... Let's see, at 0.4? Probably 0.3. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and edit this live. It'll be much easier for us to get those values. We basically want it to be at the edge of the path, roughly, which is going to be probably between 0.3 and 0.4. And then that would be 0.7 and 0.6. So we're going to change this to, let's see, 0.3. Not quite. Let's go to 0.4. Okay, so I was pretty much spot on. 0.35 is probably what we want. And then our max for that is going to be something like 0.65. Yep. So if we move the player underneath this, and we set their position X to be 0, position Y. Let's go ahead and actually set our position Y to be there with 0 on there, and there we go. Position Y. Oh, are you serious? It's because the pivot is wrong. Wait, no, the pivot's right. Oh, wait, what? That doesn't make sense. Anyway, to answer your question, Scorpio, we are working on loading screen minigames because those are now going to be ASCII art. And they're going to be much more, I think, intuitive and fun minigames than what I currently have, because what I currently have basically amounts to word jumble, and that's not very interesting. And I have never had someone at a single convention, I have yet to hear a single person say that they liked the loading screens. Like they've not even commented on it. The most I've got, well, no, the most I've gotten is confusion because they're not sure what to do. And I get a lot of people asking like, "What's this word?" And they're talking about like a scrambled up sewer. And that just means that those mini games that I have right now are just no good. So I think doing things like this, having this ASCII aesthetic as transitions, will be a lot more interesting, at the very least visually. So, okay, player area. Why are you? Oh, it's because I'm still anchored. Duh. So we actually want this to be like 0 and 0. There we go. Ta-da. So we're going to want position X. We're going to have to basically grab the bounds of this dynamically, but I think we can do that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this copy component. Okay, we're going to paste component values. We're going to move the hero back under here. Set ourselves to be anchored to the bottom. 0 position, 0. All right. And from this, we're going to have to calculate out the actual rect bounds of this player area. And then we're going to have to set up how many divisions we want. In this case, it'll be 3. And it'll probably only ever be 3, but I will go ahead and allow us to adjust that dynamically. So that's going to be our player area. Next, we're going to want to have the... Oh boy. This is going to be a little harder. So we're going to need to do pretty much the same thing for our object spawning, except we're going to need to have 2 rect transforms. We're going to need one for the top and one for the bottom, and we're going to have to use normalized values to determine where objects should go, because they need to lerp from the top here to the bottom left. If they're on the left, they need to lerp from the center to the center if they're in the middle, and then from the right to the bottom right if they're on the right. So we're going to go ahead and make a new game object, call this obstacle area. We'll go ahead and have its top be at 0.6 because that's where our horizon is. We're going to have a new area up here, so this will be our start area. Then we'll go ahead and have a duplicate of that. It's called our end area. Let's go ahead and set our position to be 0, single these things out. All right. So our start area is going to be up here. I'm going to go ahead and stretch that, have it be anchored to the top, 0 to position. We're going to have it with a height of 0 because we don't actually need it to be tall at all. We just need its positioning for width. And then it's going to be anchored from, I'm guessing, like 0.4 at the least. Okay, yeah, it's like 0.45. 0.4, I might do 0.42, 0.44, I think. So that should be 0.5. Really? 0.56, yeah, I guess that's correct. Alright, so that's our starting area, which means that our obstacles will spawn in this horizontal range before they start moving down to the bottom of the path. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing for the end area, except it's going to be anchored to the bottom. Anchored height of 0. And this is going to be pretty much the same as our player area, so we're looking at 0.35. 0.35. And actually, you know what? 0.65. We might end up making that slightly wider, I think. No, that's fine. All right, so that's our obstacles, and that's pretty much all we need to test right now. So now comes the fun part. We need to handle arbitrary numbers of iterations um, between the spawn and end areas, and an arbitrary number of iterations between the left and right of our play area. So this is going to be interesting. Um, First up, I'm going to move my serialized speed field down to here, probably. Also, I don't think you're being referenced at all. I'm going to go ahead and call this obstacle speed. Obstacle speed. Tooltips. Should I... Actually, maybe that should be... No, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, okay. So this would be the number of increments per second and obstacle travels. So that's a weird way of phrasing that, but because we're doing like an F-Zero style scaling, this is kind of the best way I can think to phrase it. So this would be the number of scaling increments from the start to the end that it can move per second. So a speed of 1 means that it'll scale 1 iteration per second, and if I have 15 iterations, then it'll take me 15 seconds to get to the bottom. Okay, so we don't need obstacle positions or hero positions anymore, and I'm pretty sure that we haven't actually done anything with these yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this a regular old rect transform. It's not going to be an array anymore. It's just going to be a single rect transform, and obstacle positions will... I don't want to make it an array because it's only going to be 2 ever. So instead, I'm just going to go ahead and say obstacle start position. And obstacle end position. I'm also going to go ahead and change that to end rect or end area. Yeah, that's better. Obstacle start area and then hero area. And we don't need a hero end position. Oh, wait, no, we do need the hero end position. Actually, that's kind of important. So at the end of this minigame, when the level that you're transitioning to is done loading, we're going to play like a canned animation of the hero going off into the distance. Okay. So from that, with those 2 fields now, we're going to have some fun. So let's go to our base loading screen minigame, go to definition. I think we're actually going to change this start minigame to a virtual instead of an abstract function. Also, hello, Evan! Thank you for hosting. So we're going to want to change this to a virtual function. Totally the wrong thing. Virtual. So we're going to need to break that out, which means that we need to reorganize this a little bit. And we're going to do the same thing for actually virtual end minigame. So again, it's going to be a virtual function. And for the most part, these functions are just going to be setting is active to be true or false. Equal to true, is active is equal to false. Wow, that was not at all how I spell false. All right. So that means that when we come up to here, we're going to want to do base.start, not start coroutine, start minigame, then base.end minigame. So that will handle any sort of default cleanup that we need to do. But after that, we're going to need to come down here to private void update. Still getting used to that. And we're going to say if is active, then we need to listen for key inputs. So I'm going to go ahead and say, should I? It's probably fine to have these be hard-coded to arrow keys, but hopefully it won't be that bad. I'm trying to think of things like accessibility if I need to worry about key rebindings, but yeah, we'll just hard-code it for now. So I'm going to say if input.get key down. And this is going to be keycode dot left arrow. So that's going to be that. Else if input dot get key down, keycode dot right arrow. We don't use brackets, we use braces. And for that, we're going to need to basically tell our player what position they need to be at. Geez, this is going to be interesting. So I think what I want to do is first up start by saying private. It's going to be a vector 2, isn't it? Hero area size delta is equal to, it's just going to be a vector 2.0 by default. So we need to detect the rect transform here, get its actual rect values, and then pipe that into here. I don't think we can use size delta for this, at least not directly, because we're stretching it, which means that we're going to get a size delta back of 0. If we debug this, it should be a size delta. Oh, it looks like, well, that's because we have a height. But its size delta x you'll see is 0, which is not useful information for us. But fortunately, we should be able to grab the actual rect being used by it and just get its width, and that will give us what we want. All right. So I guess that's actually all I really care about. We don't really care about its height, so I don't even need this to be a vector 2. I think I can just make this a float. And we'll change this to hero area width. Okay. And that's going to be equal to 0f by default. Okay, so on initialize, we're going to, before we do our new string builder, we will go ahead and, I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of this stuff because we don't really need it anymore. So before our string builder stuff, we're going to say hero area width is equal to, what do we call it, hero area dot rect, and let's really hope that this works. I really hope we don't run into a situation where I need to have a frame buffer before that gets to be valid. So we're going to say hero rect dot width. That should give me what I want. Oh, and actually, before I forget, we're going to want, oh geez, I tried to group everything up by type, so I don't want to break this up, so I guess I'm going to have to come down here. We're going to say serialize field, private, int, I just want to say like player iterations, no, player position count. That's a terrible name. It's going to be 3 by default because that's ultimately what we want. And oh geez. Okay, trying to think. We have a hero index which is going to be at 1. Oh geez, this is going to be awkward. So basically we're going to have 3 indexes. 0 is the left, 1 is the center, and 2 is the right, which means that we need to dynamically position the player based on the index that they're at, but the index, here's what sucks. It's not going to be a nice value from 0 to the width of the rect because we need to go actually negative half of the rect to negative or to positive half of the rect for that, which means that we need to get our index, use that index to determine our actual position on a lerping scale from negative half of the width to positive half of the width. Okay. So basically that means that I need to do, oh dear, this. I am going to go ahead and have a function called position player because I'm going to be lazy. Say private void position player, and this is just going to say hero dot position. Yeah. Well, thank you, Neopiece. Thank you for the follow. So I'm going to say hero dot not position but anchored position, and this is where it's going to get kind of dumb, is equal to new vector 2. So this is based off of offset from our current rect transform parent. So I need to figure out that actual lerp value. Oh, which means that I probably should go ahead and set my hero area width to be hero area.rect.width divided by times 0.5f, so half of that. And, oh geez, how on earth do I want to do this? I guess we'll say mathf.lerp from negative hero area width to positive hero area width based on mathf.inverse lerp from 0 to player position count based on, I think it's player index. What did I call it? Hero index. There we go. Oi, that is just not a fun time. Are you mad because... Oh, I need a Y value. Duh. Let's see here. There's our lerp. So that's going to be 0f because it's not going to be off the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and say and initialize that we want to position player. Position player. That way we know that it's in the right spot. And then on update, all we're going to do is increment our index or decrement our index as appropriate, and then position player. So we'll say hero index minus minus, and we'll go ahead and say if hero index is less than 0, hero index is equal to 0. And then we'll just say position player. Then we will go ahead and say, actually, you know what? No reason for me to do this. Instead, I can just go ahead and say in one line here, if hero index is greater than 0, then we'll subtract that. And you know what? We can wrap that in one big thing so that I don't just needlessly perform calculations. Haha! Even better! Then we're going to do pretty much the same thing here, except we're going to say if it's less than player position count. God, I hate that name. Then we should, let's see, 3, 3, 3. No, we're going to say minus 1, not minus 2, minus 1. Then we're going to do plus plus and position player. All right. So now we should be able to actually play and use the arrow keys to move our player left and right. And it should snap to the correct positions. If I'm half as decent as I think I am, which probably isn't a good sign, but, you know, we'll see what we can do. Of course, we have to wait for Unity to compile, because you don't want to rush these things. Although I guess while we're doing that, we can go ahead and assign our fields that we need. Okay, so there's our hero. Here is our player area. Then we're going to have our start area and our end area. Okay, so let's go ahead and play. That should generate our path, and then we can make sure that this feels right. I'm really wondering if this is going to be like a terrible, terrible teleportation. Oh, no, that's not good. We are, like, way off. Wait, really? Huh. That's interesting. So, really? It's weird because the left position is actually correct. That's where I would want the left hero position to be. But it's like our spacing was divided by a third or something. We lost a third of the rect. Huh. Naming things will always be the hardest part of programming. Well, it's certainly the most frustrating part of programming. You know, everything else in programming is super easy compared to naming things. So that's interesting. Why on earth would it be like that? Because that doesn't even make sense. I have to worked that up. Let's go ahead and debug what it thinks this is giving us. Because this clearly has to be giving us a value of something other than 1 when we're all the way to the right. Oh, I bet I know what that is. It's probably this. Duh. Because I forgot to subtract 1 from that. Okay. Let's try that again. That explains it. that would explain why it looks like we lost about a third or a fourth of our total rect, because we would have, according to positioning. So this should basically position us where we are now on start, right in the center. And then when we type left, it should be all the way to the left, and then when we type right, it should be all the way to the right. And once we have that, we can move on to spawning obstacles and having them iterate down the scale. And then we're going to have to figure out what to do when you get hit, because I honestly don't know. I guess we'll probably actually have you flash white, unless your favorite color is white, in which case we'll have you flash red. Yay! Alright. So, if you've ever played any of those super cheap LCD games that came in like cereal boxes, this is kind of what that's going to be like, I feel. Alright, so that is the player's movement, and then yeah, if I type right while I'm all the way to the right, nothing happens. That's good. Okay, next we are going to go ahead and do pretty much the same thing for objects. So we're going to want to have a field that tells us how many iterations we need along the path for our objects. I guess we could use these, the path length. So that means that there would be 12 iterations, but I don't know if that would be super good or not. I kind of like that, because that means that each one of these horizontal lines in the path is basically a unit of measurement. So that means objects will move along the path in discrete chunks. So we won't get any weird misalignments. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So we'll just basically hijack whatever path length we have here. Which means that we need to actually go up here, and we are just going to go ahead and say, we'll go ahead and say private int, what did I call it, path length? Path length is equal to 0 by default. We'll go ahead and get rid of that declaration there. So now we'll be caching that value so we can use it in other places. Okay, then after that, so during the start minigame, I guess we'll have a cooldown time, so a range of time that a range of time between each obstacle being spawned, which will probably be something like 2 to 3 seconds ish, maybe 2 to 5. Actually, it's probably gonna be closer than that, but yeah, we'll mess around with that value. So let's see, path, obstacle speed. All right. So we're going to say serialized field, private, vector2, and this is going to be obstacle cooldown. It's going to be why did I make, oh, right, that's why I made it a vector2. It's equal to new vector2, and we'll just say 3f by 5f. Yeah. So I want to make this a min-max range. And we'll give it a min of, I guess, 0f, and then a max of, we'll say 10f, because I seriously doubt I'm ever going to want to have something more than that. So the reason I made it a vector2 instead of a float is because I want to have a range of possible values. So we'll have this vector2 basically be the random range that we can sample from for cooldown. Plus we should have a nice little inspector here that makes it look super cool once it compiles. And while it's compiling, I'm going to take a drink. Alright, so our range is basically 3 to 5 second cooldown between each obstacle. So let's go ahead and, am I going to need anything besides that? No. Alright, so the weirdest thing about this is going to be, let's see, probably the way our obstacles are going to move, because we're basically going to want, oh geez, this is going to be interesting. I'm trying to think about how we're going to anchor everything. So we want them to move from the start area up here to the end area, and we're gonna use their normalized values based on their position. So actually, do we want that? Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, that should work. Okay. So if we spawn on the left, then we'll give it a. I don't know. We could. Okay, let's go ahead and give them indexes instead. So we'll give them a spawn index. So 0 will be the left, 1 will be the center, 2 will be the right. And again, those are arbitrary numbers. It could be any number of total iterations, but I'm sticking with 3 because I think 3 lanes makes the most sense for this. And if they spawn on the left, then they'll end on the left down here, and we need them to lerp at an angle. So that's why we're going to kind of be using that. We're going to need to cache that index whenever we spawn them. And then we probably should have... Geez. We should probably have their speed get set once they're initialized. So let's go ahead and open up... Well, so right now, wait, where are we? So right now, there are no real scripts to control the obstacles, which means that we could have the Plains to Woods minigame script control them, but I feel like it would be much easier just to have a base script to let the obstacles handle themselves. That makes things a lot simpler for us. We don't have to try and keep track of a bunch of different positions. So let's go ahead and open up our prefabs. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, so we're going to want to have a script for this. So I'm going to make a script and call it, dang it, we're going to call it, I don't want to call it just obstacle, so I guess we'll say Plains to Woods obstacle. Because I am terrible at naming things. Also, I keep thinking that I'm spelling obstacle wrong. I really hope that I'm not. I'm not. I keep thinking that I am, though. Hey. Semantic satiation, let me tell you. It's a thing and it sucks. Alright. Let's go ahead and open that up. Plains to Woods. Obstacles. Alright. So this is going to be in the text quest namespace. And we're going to want to do a bunch of different things. First up, we're going to go ahead and cache our rect transform. So I'm going to say rect transform, cache transform, private, rect transform, capital C, cached transform. I'm going to say get, return, well, I don't know why I formatted it like that. Return, cached transform, question mark, transform, else cache transform is equal to get component rect transform. All right. And on top of that, we're going to go ahead and say public void initialize. No, Windows, don't autocomplete for me. Freaking Visual Studio. Sometimes you suck. So we're going to say, not initialized either, just initialize. We want an int index followed by a int path length and ending with 2 rect transforms, which will be our start and end areas. All right, and we're going to want to cache all of that. And I guess we can go ahead and give them a speed too, might as well. So we'll say float speed amongst all of that. And we're going to want to say private, you know what, actually we're going to go ahead and go one more up. So private float speed is equal to 0f, private int index is equal to 0, private int path length, if I could spell, or type I guess, is equal to 0, private rect transform, start, and I can't type, private rect transform end. Okay, so for initialize, we're just going to say this dot speed is equal to speed. This dot index is equal to index. This dot path length is equal to path length. This dot start, and so on and so on. Okay, so while this is going, we are going to also have a, let's see, down here we're going to say private int current index, current path index is equal to 0. So current path index of 0 means that it's at the top of the path, and a path index of 12 or 13 means that it's at the bottom. And we're going to iterate over update. So I'm going to say private void update. And for this, should I worry about that? Nah, it's fine. All right. So we're going to go ahead and add a couple of things here. We're also going to say private float cooldown is equal to 0f. I just realized float speed needs to actually be... No, float speed is fine there. That is a hard set float. It's not a range. So we're going to say if cooldown is less than 0, or I'm sorry, less than or equal to 0f, we're going to do something else. We're going to go ahead and say cooldown minus equals time dot delta time. And if it's less than or equal to 0, and on initialize, we're going to go ahead and say cooldown is equal to speed. We're going to say cooldown is equal to speed. Then we will go ahead and say index, not index, current path index plus plus. And then we're going to do basically the same math that we did when we were doing player positioning. We're going to need to say, we're going to need to lerp from start to end based on the total length of the path and our current index. So we're going to want to say, and based off of our actual index on the path. So both length and width. This is going to be fun. So we are going to, oh geez, that's a vector 2. No, that's, well, that is a vector 2, but I can do individual lerps, so it should be fine. So we're going to go ahead and say vector 2 new pose is equal to vector 2 dot 0. Not error, 0. Then at the very end, we're going to say cache transform dot anchored position is equal to new pose. Okay. Time to do some gaming. See you all later. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Garrett. Hope you have some fun. What are you going to be playing, I guess, before you go? Just out of curiosity. And so now to actually calculate this, we're going to want to say new pose. Why are we not? New pose dot x is equal to mathf dot lerp from. Oh geez. Oh, that's going to get so much more complicated. Okay, so we're actually going to calculate x after we calculate y. So that's going to be fun. So we can't actually calculate x until we calculate y because we need to calculate its vertical position along the path. And then we need to use that to calculate its offset from the actual positions it needs to be in. Oh, that's so weird. Okay. Which I guess actually means that we're going to want to do a couple of things. Plans to win mini games. We're going to cache our obstacle start and end widths. So we're going to say private float obstacle start width is equal to 0f. Private float obstacle end width is equal to 0f. Okay. World of Warplanes. Okay. I don't know if that's good or not. World of Warplanes, the whole World of series, which I assume is actually all from one company, just because I feel like World of would be a trademark. I don't know. I never really got into those, but I'm assuming that you enjoy them, if you're playing it. So, well, either way, have fun with it. All Okay, so for this, we're going to want to pretty much do the same thing that we were doing with the hero area width, where we calculate this. So we're just going to go ahead and say obstacle start width is equal to obstacle start area dot rect dot width times 0.5f. Go ahead and grab that. Obstacle end width, obstacle end area. All right. And the reason that we're going to go ahead and cache that here is because every time you access these recs, I believe there's garbage that's generated because it's an internal Unity component reference. So we're going to cache that ahead of time, and then whenever we initialize our, where are we? There it is. When we actually initialize our plains to wood obstacle, we're probably going to go ahead and pass those values as well, which I guess can go ahead and mean, well, oh geez, that's, oh man, hold on, time out. Are we gonna need the actual rect transform of the obstacle area too, so that we can get its height? Jeez, we probably will, won't we? Yeah, we'll need that. Boo. Okay. Ah, that's gross. That means it became 3. So these are probably actually going to transform from rect transforms into floats, I think. So let's go ahead and come up here. So we have obstacle start area. Let's go ahead and serialize field, private, rect transform, obstacle area. God, these inspectors are starting to get a little long for my tastes. But I don't think we need too much more beyond this. Let's see here. So we're going to come down to here, and we're going to change these to be floats. So float start width, followed by float end width. And I know that you guys are going to complain, so we're going to go ahead and say float. Let's go ahead and change this. Grab this. You, and you. Alright. Oh, is equal to 0f. Alright, so I think that's all of the positions that we're going to need. I'm going to go ahead and say float. I guess area height. Yeah, I hate passing all of these different parameters. But it's better to do it this way just for performance. Ugh, gross. So we're going to say private float area height is equal to 0f. And this dot area height is equal to area height. Okay. So first up, we're going to calculate our y position, which is going to be new pose dot y is equal to mathf dot lerp from oh geez, we're going to lerp from area height to negative area height based on mathf dot inverse lerp of 0 to, let's see, path length minus 1 based on current path index. So that calculates our y value. Next, we are going to have to calculate our x value, which is going to be super weird, because it's going to be, geez, that's going to be a normalized value along our starting area. So we're going to want to do basically, hold on. We're going to do basically this, mathf.lerp from negative start width to positive start width based on mathf.inverse lerp, again, 0 to, oh, geez, I need to pass. Ugh. Okay. So I'm going to have to pass in an arbitrary index count up here. For now, we'll hard set that at 3. Actually, sorry, 2, based on index, which itself does not change. Okay. So that's the easy part. Next, we have to calculate an offset to that based off of its index and... Oh, geez. Well, actually, no. No. So this mathf function right here. This is where it would be if we were at the very top. And then we're going to need basically another thing for if it's at the very bottom, and then we're going to lerp between them based on this, I think. Yes. So that's kind of weird. So let's go ahead and I guess we'll just steal that and cache that, and we'll say float y pose is equal to this. Or I could probably change that to make something that's fine for now. So we're going to go ahead and say mathf.lerp based off of that lerp followed by pretty much the exact same thing. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. Then another lerp for, of course you're going to complain because you're lowercase. Then another lerp for, yes, based off y pose. That should work. Let's go ahead and change this to end width. Copy that in. And all right. So I think that will do what we want. Yeah, let's go ahead and test that out. So first things first, we're going to want to say plains to woods minigame, come up to initialize. We're going to need our update loop. So that's the other thing that I'm going to try to do with this is I'm going to try to avoid coroutines if I can. Except that probably won't work. We can still do this in update, but I'm going to need a coroutine for when the player gets hit because I got to like flash red or something, and I don't want that to go on forever. So we'll go ahead and say we need a cooldown variable up at the top here, don't we? Okay, so we're going to say private float cooldown. You know what? We'll say obstacle cooldown. Obstacle cooldown is equal to 0f. Oh, right. Duh. Because wait, what? Ah, there it is. So we can actually, I guess, we'll just call that cooldown for now. All right. I'm going to go down here to here. We're going to say if obstacle cooldown is less than or equal to 0f. Then we're going to, also I did that wrong. It's just cooldown. So if that's the case, then we're going to say cooldown is, not collider, cooldown is equal to mathf, no, not mathf, random dot range based off of obstacle cooldown dot x, and then obstacle cooldown dot y. Okay, so that'll give us a random cooldown number. In other words, we're going to say cooldown minus equals time dot delta time. All right, so with that, oh, you know what would probably be good? It's for me to have the coding thing up there since we're really focusing on that tonight. So that handles our cooldown, and if our cooldown gets below 0, we're going to want to spawn a new object and position it. Which actually, I might go ahead and just say public void position. I'll say position obstacle. That's going to do pretty much the exact same thing as all of this. So we'll paste that in there, and then we're going to go ahead and just call position obstacle. But this means that I can spawn the obstacle and then just position it without having to worry about it. That should be fine. We'll come up to here, and in our update, we will also need to keep track of things. So we're going to need a list, which means that we're going to need to come up here and say using sleepy owl, not sleepy owl, system.collections.generic. we are going to go ahead and say private list plains to woods obstacles is equal to new plains. All right. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and say plains to woods obstacle is equal to obstacle. Oop, not that. I will say pool manager dot request from the. Did I make those rect transforms? I have no idea why I made those rect transforms. Those should totally be game objects, or these should be obstacles. So plains to woods obstacle. We'll go ahead and say is equal to new because I like to declare these. Plains to wood obstacle 0. And okay. So from there, we're going to say plains to, wow, that's not remotely correct. Obstacle prefabs. We're going to pick a random prefab, basically. So we're going to say random.range, not random range, just range. From 0 to obstacle prefabs.length. Okay. So, oh, right, duh, need that. Okay, that's that. And then we need to parent it to something. I'm going to say null for now, but that should be fine afterwards. So we need, that's going to be our obstacle area, isn't it? So we're going to say obstacle area. This will be interesting to see if this works. We're going to say obstacle dot initialize based off of, let's see, so we have obstacle speed followed by, this would be a random index, so we're going to need to say random.range from 0 to player, oh crap, what did I call it? It was that stupid name, player count. What did I call you? Player position count, because that's such a great name. Player position count. That's going to be our int value. From there, we are going to need path length, which is going to just be path length, followed by obstacle start width, followed by obstacle end width, followed by obstacle height. Did I not calculate the height? Have I not set that? I have not. Okay, we got to do that. So private float obstacle area height is equal to 0f. And at the end here, we're going to go ahead and say obstacle area height is equal to obstacle area dot rect dot height times 0.5f. Okay, come down here. Obstacle area height. And that should be everything we need to initialize it. Then we're going to go ahead and say obstacles.add. I can't type. .add obstacle. Okay, we're almost at the point where we can actually test this stuff. And after we initialize it, we need to call position. So we're going to say, actually, you know what? No point in doing that because we can just have initialize call that for us, can't we? So let's just go ahead and say position obstacle. That's much easier. Okay. I think that's all we need to do. So let's go ahead and this should spawn objects. It won't actually clean them up once they reach the bottom, but this should get us something semi-useful. Let's see. Man, I have the hiccups. So we want to assign that reference once Unity compiles, of course. Oh, and then, of course, we have the wonderful line endings problem, which drives me nuts. Why do you do that to me, Unity? We'll leave it alone for now. So I need to assign that obstacle. Let's go ahead and put that in there. We don't really care about anything else except for obstacle area. Everything else should be fine. Okay. Let's go ahead and try that out. So there are a couple of concerns that I have. I'm a little worried that my obstacles are going to be tiny because their size deltas will actually know what they might be super huge. Um, oh, that's actually not bad. Okay. Well, that worked out way better than I was expecting. So you can see that they stop at the bottom there, but um, wow, this is actually really nice. So you can tell that it's yeah, you can pretty easily identify which lane they're in. So this is the positioning. Next, we're going to have to handle their scaling. So when they're up at the very top, they should probably be about 0.5 of their normal scale, and then at the bottom, they probably should be something like 1.5. And we'll basically just lerp those scales in as they move along the path here. I'm actually digging that pretty well. I like that. That worked out way better than I thought it would. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop playing. When it reaches the end of the path, we probably need it to fire an event to tell it to clean itself up. So let's go ahead and say, oh, right. I want to open this up so that I can convert all of the line endings. Aha! And then we're going to need to do stuff like, I don't know, music or sound effects. Let's see. We're going to want to have, we'll go ahead and say serialize field, private, float. No, we'll make it a vector 2. Vector 2. Yeah, there's no reason for us to make it a vector 2. Let's go ahead and make it a float. It's going to be 2 float fields, but that'll be fine. So this will be our start scale is equal to 0.5f by default. And serialize field, private, float, end scale is equal to, I think, 1.5f. Now we might end up making those more exaggerated. So instead of 0.5, it's like 0.25, and end scale, 1.5 is actually pretty decent, I think. But we'll just leave them at these values for now. Okay, so on position obstacle, I'm going to go ahead and say whatever Y position is should be my lerping, I believe. So that should be a value between 0 and 1, which means that I should be able to just use it. So I can co-opt that again and say cache transform dot scale is equal to new vector 3. I hate that I have to do it this way, though. I really wish I could just apply a single value to it, but I have to make a new vector 3 every time. Is going to be equal to, not that, mathf.lerp from start scale to end scale based on y pose. Right. You know, I honestly don't, yeah, it's probably better to cache it. I was going to say, I honestly don't know which is better, caching this variable, which means making a variable in scope, or just doing that math function, but I would assume that just having the extra variable scope will be fine. So we're just going to say float scale is equal to this, and then we'll just have a new vector 3 of scale, scale, scale. Scale, scale, scale. Okay, so that should handle our actual scaling for the objects. And next we are going to want them to fire an event when they should go off screen. So we'll come up here, we're going to say public delegate void, and this will be our obstacle event. That is going to take a plains to woods obstacle. And we'll say public event obstacle event on obstacle. Wow, that was terrible. Oh crap! You know what? So we probably want 2 events, one for when the obstacle reaches the bottom of the path, and one for when the obstacle goes past the bottom of the path. So the reason that I want to have 2 is because I need the first one when it reaches the very bottom to be when the player would receive damage, and then the second one, the one that's fired after it goes off the screen, is what lets the Plains to Woods minigame know that it needs to clean up that obstacle. So I guess we'll go ahead and say on obstacle. No, geez, I have no idea how to phrase this. Uh, bottom reach. See, bottom reached is a terrible name. Um, path complete. Path complete, I guess. I don't know what it is, but I feel like tonight has been an especially bad night for me coming up with names. Public event, obstacle event, um, cleanup, I guess, is equal to delegate. Yeah, okay. We'll go ahead and say on path complete, on cleanup. Okay. So for this, I guess we'll say if current path index is equal to path length minus 1, then we are going to say on path complete, firing this, else we will say else if current path index is equal to path length, and we'll go ahead and have a safety mechanism. We'll say greater than or equal to, just in case it somehow gets past that. Then we're going to say on cleanup, passing again this. That should do everything that we want. We'll go ahead and have position obstacle be done up here. Okay. That should be everything that we need from the obstacle. After that, we need to assign event listeners. So we're going to want to come down here and say private void on obstacle path complete. Ugh. Those names. Plains to woods obstacle. Okay, then we're gonna have pretty much the exact same thing. Copy this, paste that. On obstacle cleanup, I guess is what we'll call that. Cleanup. Okay. So let's see. We'll go ahead and come down here. So after initializing, we're going to go ahead and say obstacle dot on path complete plus equals on obstacle path complete obstacle dot on cleanup plus equals on obstacle cleanup. Oh no, come on, cleanup. There we go. And for that, so actually, you know what? Crap, that kind of backfired, didn't it? We're going to add a public getter here. Public int index get return. Wow, that is not even close to how you spell return. Index. So we need that public getter so that I can compare its index with the player's index. So if the player's index matches the index of the obstacle when it reaches the bottom there, then it should damage the player. Oh, jeez, even worse. I probably should make it so that you can't go into that area for the duration that the obstacle is there either, which is gross. Okay. So that means that we actually are going to have to change this. We're going to have a list. Well, no. It should be impossible for... No, wait, I guess it's possible that there could be two simultaneously. Maybe. That seems unlikely, but I guess it's possible. So I'm going to make a list here. I'm going to say private list int. This will be damage indexes. Damage indexes is equal to new list int. So this is going to be the indexes where if the player is in them at any time, then they will do the like stun animation. So that means that on obstacle path complete, we are going to want to say if damage indexes dot contains obstacle dot index, and then we'll say damage indexes dot add obstacle dot index, and then of course we're going to say if not that. that's all we really care about. And then otherwise, on obstacle cleanup, we're going to go ahead and say damage indexes dot remove obstacle dot index. Okay, simple as that. And that means that in update here, after all of that, oh, and then we're going to need to go ahead and say to do. Why even say to do? I can just recycle it manually. I'm just going to go ahead and say obstacle game object. I don't know why I always write these things backwards. Pool manager dot recycle obstacle dot game object. Should recycle that object, and here and update, we are going to go ahead and say if obstacle, if damage indexes dot contains player index, nope, it's called hero index, isn't it? Yep. Then we're going to do damage. And of course, damage won't actually do anything besides show a little stunned animation, but you know, it's good to have cool stuff that it does. So that should track if the player is actually getting hit. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a debug there. So debug.log damage so that we can test this. And I think that this will basically let us actually do the base, like the most basic version of this minigame. So objects should now spawn at the top and should also scroll down and be capable of damaging the player. So one more thing that we're going to want to do, actually, as a nice little modifier is, I guess we'll have like a little dice roll to let us know if it needs to spawn two obstacles at once instead of just one. And we'll do that next. I want to let that compile and just give this a test to see if the damage actually works. So I want to make it possible that you could have like two logs, one on the left and one in the center, which means you would have to go all the way over to the right. So we get our movement here. I'm just going to stay in its path. Okay. Interesting. Wait, what is going on here? Why are they moving to the center? That's super weird. What's happening? Oh, I know what it is. It's because I forgot to unassign my event listeners. Duh. So I need to say obstacle. I'm just going to do this. I grab this. And we're just going to go ahead and say minus equals, and that should only happen. Okay, so that is an update. But that shouldn't matter because initialize should move it. So let's go ahead and try that again. Make sure that those weren't just getting recycled because they were still being listened to. So this should actually get it to behave correctly. I'm also going to go ahead and increase our speed actually so that they don't scroll so slowly. Because I think right now they're doing 1 second. Is that right? Let's see, player obstacle speed. Let's go ahead and make it like 3. Oh no, that's way slower. Wait, what is going on here? Huh. Why are they moving to the center like that? That's super awkward. Is their position not being set correctly? Yeah, because they're not moving anymore, which makes me think that they are basically... Go ahead and debug this. Start width, end width. Let's see, blah, 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 current path index. Oh, duh! I need to reset current path index. Ugh. Of course. I forgot I've reset my default values. So current path index here needs to be set to 0. That explains why everything was so mucked up. And that, I think, is the only thing I actually need to reset. Okay. Let's go ahead and set that. And I also think I'm going to go ahead and change our values here. I'm going to make it like 0.25. Because I don't think it's very easy to see the scaling apply. It looks very, very... like 0.5 seems to be really close to 1.5. So either it's not scaling the way I would expect it to, or something weird is happening there. But this should make it a little bit more dramatically noticeable. Let's see here. So we have our path generating. There's our log. Yeah, that's a lot better, I think. Although I do think that I should probably make it so that I get damaged when the log is there instead of when it's past that, because that's kind of weird. So it needs to be -2, I guess. So -1, which that's odd. Not entirely sure. I guess actually no, that makes sense. All right. So yeah, we don't want it. We want it to damage us there. So let's go ahead and stop playing. We're going to change this. We're going to say -2. We're going to go back to here, and I think next we are going to want to damage the player for 1 frame, and maybe should we stagger them? Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay, so we have some fun things that we need to do. First up, we're going to need to cache our player's color. So we're going to say private, private color player color is equal to color.white. I'm also going to go ahead and rename all of our hero-based stuff to player. Player. Okay. Next, we are going to want to do a couple of things. I'm actually going to rename player positions to path lanes, because that makes way more sense. Path lanes. That is a way better name, too. Which means that we can now move that to here. Give us a tooltip. The number of lanes on the path determines how many positions obstacles can spawn on. Okay. It's probably never going to not be 3. Never going to not be 3. Or it's never going to be anything other than 3. But having it be variable like that makes it at least somewhat capable of being adjusted, and therefore interesting if I ever decide to make it different. All right, so after that, we are going to want to, let's see, under obstacle speed, we're going to have serialized field, private color, player damaged color is equal to color.white by default. And then we're going to have another serialized field, which is going to be private color. Should I just... I guess it's going to be called white player damaged color. White player damaged, or yeah, damaged color is equal to color.red. So that's going to be tooltip, the color, oh, that's terrible. We'll just say color the player. Color the player flashes when damaged. Go ahead and grab that. If the player's favorite color is white. So that is something that can really only happen if the player somehow makes their favorite color white, because it wouldn't make sense for white to flash white. You wouldn't be able to tell it's flashing. Okay. In addition to that, we are going to want, let's see, we have to have a coroutine now, which means that we need to come up here. We're going to say using system.collections. Oh, let's go ahead and also say serialize. Actually, no, we don't need to have a new field for that. We're going to have a coroutine here. So I'm going to say private enumerator. And this is going to be our damage coroutine. So for that, we're going to go ahead and say float t is equal to 0, f, while t is less than, crap, what do I want to call it? Obstacle speed, right? Yep. We're going to go ahead and say t plus equals time dot delta time yield return null. Okay, so from all of that, we're going to go ahead and say we need the player's label, don't we? Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and say serialize field, private, text, mesh pro, UGUI, player label. Okay, so we're going to come down here, and in our coroutine, at the very start of it, we're going to say player label.color is equal to player damaged color. For now, we're not going to try to figure out what the player's favorite color is. And then at the end, we're going to say player label.color is equal to cached. Seriously, I probably didn't call it that. What are my options? Pretty sure I called it player color. Okay. Yeah. And on initialize, I of course need to set that, which means, let's see. Let's go ahead and say player color is equal to, I think this is session dot favorite color. Oh, and I made it a text color. No. Okay. That's, yeah. That means I need to. All right. That's not terrible. So I have to do color. No. Hold on. I forget what I do to grab that color. Final references. Color extension. Ah, there it is. Color check. So I need to do global variables.colorcheck. That is a terrible system, but it's one that I have. Global variables.colorcheck based off of our favorite color. So that's going to give us, I believe, a string back representing our color in hex. And I think, what could we do to get around? Yeah, we're not going to want to do rich text. So we're going to go ahead and say false to that. And that means that we want to do color extensions dot hex to color. That's going to be this. Okay, it's a messy thing. But I guess that I can a little bit more easily check our color, our default color here. So we're just going to go ahead and say session dot favorite color. Favorite color is equal to text colors dot white question mark. We're going to say white player damage color. Gotta go. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. Sorry, I kind of ended up coding a lot today. I was hoping that I would be able to finish this stuff up super quickly, but I guess it's taking me a little bit longer than I was expecting. I was hoping I was going to be able to finish this one by the end of the night, but it's pretty close to 9. I think we can do that. I think we can at the very least get obstacles, player damage, and trees scrolling by. I don't think we're going to get it hooked up into our actual loading screens tonight, but we will probably be able to get it to be functional at the very least. Okay, so that's our damage coroutine. We need to go up here. We're going to add a private bool is damaged, I guess, is equal to false. In our coroutine here, we're going to go ahead and say is damaged is equal to true. And then at the very end here, we're going to set is damaged is equal to false. And we're going to wrap these inputs to if not is damaged. Then we're going to do this stuff. So you can't move if you're being actively damaged. Because I want it to be like a stun effect. So else, if we're damaged, so we're going to say if not is damaged and damage index contains all that, then we're going to go ahead and start that coroutine. Start coroutine, damage coroutine. Alright, so this should now have our player character flash red. Oh crap, no, it'll actually have them flash, yeah, no, it'll have them flash red. I think by default, favorite color is set to be white. It's either set to be white or red. So if it's set to red, then our player character will be red by default and it'll flash white. If it's set to white, then our player character will be white by default and it should flash red. I guess as a quick way to make sure that everything is being initialized correctly, I'm going to go ahead and set this to be like blue. Alright, and let's go ahead and try this. So on initialize, it should color our player, and then on hit, it should, oh crap, it totally did not color our player. Did I forget to do that? I must have forgot to do that, didn't I? I did, because so I set the player color, but I never actually set the player to be that. So we need to, let's see, path label.text is equal to that. We'll go ahead and say player label.color is color is equal to player color. All right, so that should fix that little issue. After that, is there really anything that I should do? I'm probably going to have a quick and dirty like label that has, I don't know, hyphens and just a bunch of symbols to make it look like you're shocked that you got hit. And we'll of course have to have a sound that plays. But aside from that, there's not really too much that I don't want to spend too much time on these mini games after all. So I think that's going to be enough. Let's go ahead and play this. So we should get something. Oh, right. And before I forget, wait, no. Oh, right. I didn't assign that. I'm also going to go ahead and speed up obstacles to let's say 0.25, so that should quadruple its speed. I probably should rename that from speed to like stay duration or something. Where are you? Ah, there you are. There's our player label. Okay. So now all of that should actually function. Let's go ahead and try that again. And Shazam! Okay, so red is totally the one by default, and then oh, that kind of, that's interesting. Huh. It's like it's interesting. It seems like it is set to be white, and then it's set to be white again. Weird. So you can see like it flickers. Well, maybe you can't. I assume you guys can see that flicker, but maybe you can't. I'm not sure if the frame rate on the stream is good enough for it. I'm not entirely sure what's happening. I'm assuming that means that the log is hitting it as it comes in, and then before the log leaves, the hero registers itself to not be hit anymore, and therefore it just gets hit twice. Um, that's not terrible. It's kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. And hooray, flashing and all of that does seem to work. That is exciting. Let's go ahead, I guess, and actually real quick, just to make sure that I'm not crazy, go to definition here. I am going to change this to white by default. So now our player character should be, favorite color should be white, which means that when they get hit, they should flash red. I just want to confirm that this is the case, and then we'll be able to swap back and add things like sound effects. And surprise lines, of course. And once we do that, I think we'll be able to move on to trees. And trees are going to move in basically the exact same way that obstacles do. They're going to have normalized spawn positions, one on the left, one on the right, and they're going to have start and end positions. And we're just going to lerp between them, basically. So let's go ahead and play. Hero character should have their font color change to white. When they get hit, they should flash red. Okay. That works. So let's change you back to red. Save that. We're going to come down to here, and we are going to have, let's see, obstacle speed, increments per second and obstacle travels. I guess we're going to want to call that, to remove or rename that to obstacle. I can't call it duration really. Number of increments per second. Dang it! All of the names that I can come up with are terrible. Let's go ahead and just say, instead of this, how long an obstacle rests at each path interval. Okay. So we have player damaged color. We're going to want to have a serialized private int damage sound is equal to 0. That will be a sound ID. And let's see, what else do we want to do while we're in here? I guess we'll go ahead and say, so we have a player label. We're going to say serialized field private text mesh pro UGUI. This will be our damage label. Okay, so this will be a label that gets displayed whenever we get hit. So I'm going to go ahead and come down here to our coroutine. When we first get hit, I'm going to go ahead and say global.get sound manager .play. Oh, right. I forgot. I really need to standardize that stuff. So sound manager .play. And this is going to be damage ID. Okay. Damage sound. Right. And we will give it a null for its position or its origin. And that should be fine. We'll go ahead and say if damage sound does not equal 0, so we don't try to play something when it's nothing. And on top of that, we are going to want to say damage label dot enabled, I guess, will be fine, is equal to true. At the very bottom here, we're just going to set it to be equal to false. All right. So I am going to go ahead and create a new TextMesh Pro text label below this one. It's going to be assigned to that. This is going to be interesting. I really hope I can make this look right. We will give it our font. Once Unity compiles, of course. Frickin'. I don't understand how it thinks that I have different line endings. Unless Visual Studio changes its freaking line endings. I don't know. Because all of those should be windows. This is going to be our damage label. And we want this to... This is going to be kind of weird. We're going to have a negative... negative 50. Then, yeah, that's probably good. So negative 50. Negative 50. Okay, so this is going to be basically like this. Oh, wrong thing. U. Should it be 3 wide? Maybe. Let's go ahead and center it. Not bad. Then we'll have dashes, space, dashes, space, space. Kind of like this. Okay, so now we're just going to copy and paste that a bunch. Paste, 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 paste. And paste. We'll do that. Okay. And we'll do a top of negative 25. There we go. Do we have room for one more here? Yeah, we'll change that to be this. That was weird. I think that means we're going to want to get rid of this line, though. I don't know. That... yeah, that's fine, I think. Alright. So if we disable that, then we should be able to assign it to our damage label. And then we need to load our sound that we want it to play. So let's go ahead and drag this in. Mini game here. What do we got? Wow, that was super loud. Huh. Yes, explosion. That's what we want. What would be good? We'll do that. I'm fine with that for our sound effect. It's kind of a placeholder anyway right now, just to see if we can get it to sound right, or well, have any sound at all. So this should give us sound effects now and damage lines when we get hit. So let's see what happens. Alright, that's fine. It totally does hit you twice, though. That's kind of weird. Huh. So you can totally move into it, which is fine. Ah, dang it. I keep moving into it one thing too soon. Oh, that's interesting. Even though I moved into it after I got there. Yeah, I think that this would definitely be made a little bit more interesting if, one, I shortened the time between each log, because 5 seconds is way too long. But also, if I make it so that it can randomly spawn 2 logs at once instead of just one all the time, that will make things a little bit better. Also, it should totally not be able to hit you twice. That is definitely a thing that should not be possible. So I guess we can kind of cheat and do a couple of things. So first up, if you are damaged here, then we're going to go ahead and remove that area from the damage. So we're going to say damage indices dot remove player index. I think that will fix the problem with it being hit or hitting the player twice. And after that, we are going to want. Do we need anything else? That should be fine. Crap. What was the other thing I was going to do? Sound. We still need to handle text being displayed at the top. And oh right, the calculating a random chance of 2 spawning. Let's go ahead and let's see, obstacle cooldown, obstacle speed. Let's go ahead and say serialize field, private float, double obstacle chance is equal to, we'll say 0.5, so half the time there will be 2 that spawn. And we'll also go ahead and clamp that, so we're going to say range from 0f to 1f. Okay, and we'll go ahead and tooltip that as well. So normalized chance value that 2 obstacles will spawn at once. Okay, so down here on spawn, we are going to, I guess, roll here. So we'll say if random.value is greater than, is less than, what did I call it, double obstacle chance? I guess we'll say less than or equal to. Then we're going to do pretty much this exact thing again. Call it obstacle 2. Okay, and that should handle it. So if we have 2 obstacles, we are going to randomize it. So this is, we're going to have to actually be a little more careful here. We're going to have to say int, oh crud. Ah, crud. Okay, let me think. Oh, no, I still have a reference to obstacle, so that's fine. New index is equal to this. We're going to say new index, and then we will say while new index is equal to obstacle dot index. Make sure that they don't spawn 2 in the same spot. Basically just do this again. Very, very simple. And that should basically be all we need for it to spawn 2 objects at once. So now we should get possibly 2 objects spawning at once with a 50% chance, basically. So like every other obstacle spawn should have 2, statistically speaking. And I think that's all we're going to need to do. Let's see. Where is our... Yeah, there it is. Double obstacle chance. Okay, let's go ahead and test that out. And... well, that worked. And look at that! We got 2! I like it. Oh yeah, I want to totally change how our range is for this. Let's go ahead and make this like 1 to 2. Oh yeah, that's much better. Although, wow, I probably should try and make it so that they spawn in front of you for the most part, instead of just being truly random. Because there's nothing stopping that from happening. Ah, oh, dang it, I got hit. Oh, crap. That's not good. That's why I was getting hit twice. It's because the log stays active in the damage zone until it gets to its clear, which is 2 jumps later. Okay, so I need to fix that. 3 events, do I really need that? That would be so dumb. maybe I can have it just disappear. Yeah, we'll do that. So let's go ahead and we're going to come over here to planes. What is obstacle? We're going to say -2, -1, and that should make that feel a little bit better, I think. Okay, so after this, the next thing we're going to want to do is let's make that 1 to 2. The next thing we want to do is tree scrolling. So trees, again, are basically going to behave the exact same way as obstacles, just they're going to have 2 lanes. Well, actually, yeah, that's a good point. The trees will probably not use indexes. Instead, the trees will use a normalized float value from 0 to 1 because they don't have to really adhere to the lane system. And that will just make my life easier because I can have it cache its normalized value and we don't really care about it after that. So let's go ahead and test this one more time. And I think we'll be good. All right, so we got our logs spawning in. Not bad. I feel like, should I have sound effects for when the player moves? Maybe, maybe not. That could get tedious very quickly. But otherwise, there's kind of nothing really happening here. Which may or may not be desired. I will say I do like the damage effects. Although maybe I should only make it on... Should I make it your head? So just the H? Because then it's more like a shock expression. Right here it's kind of like all over the place. I guess let's go ahead and try this. Okay, so I want to change our damage label a little bit. We're just going to get rid of a bunch of the middle sections here. So probably something like this. I don't think that's bad. But I guess it's probably, I think, a little more fun to have it hit the entirety of the body. Alright. Okay. Well, it is 9 o'clock. We'll get trees in tonight. And then we'll probably call it a night after that. So after obstacle area, we are going to want to have tree area. Not Ardia, area. Again, it's going to only go up to 0.6 because that is our horizon. So from there, we are going to do a bunch of stuff. So we're going to have, oh boy. Oh, this is so... Okay. Crap, this got weird. Okay, I think I know what I need to do there. So we're going to have one on the left. So this will be called just left. This will be anchored from 0 to 0.3. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and play so that I can balance this stuff against my path. We want to have a fairly wide berth from the left and the right. So, yeah, even that's too much. We'll probably want something like 0.1 and 0.25. That seems like a good amount. So that's going to be the area, for the most part, that our trees can spawn in. With a little... No, that is not okay. Crap. This got way more complicated than I was hoping. Okay, so we're going to actually have this be from 0 to 0.35. Okay. So it's a little weird right now because it looks like the trees might be able to get into here, but that's not the case. Oh man, this is not gonna be fun. Unfortunately, I don't have the convenience of just using my widths for the spawn and despawn areas. Instead, I am going to have to make sure that I apply offsets from the parent object as well, which sucks. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy that. It's not plain. We'll go ahead and paste that component in there. All right, so with that, we're going to do a spawn at the top, 1, 0, height of 0, and we will also go ahead and say from the left, geez, 50. Wow, that's not really going to tell me anything. We'll do a height of 100. No. Let's use anchors for this, I guess. So a height of 100, just so I can see this. We'll use anchors of 0.1. From the left, 0. Maybe 0.2. As far as 1.1. Yes. So this is going to be kind of weird, but you'll be able to see everything that I'm trying to do. So that's the left start. Left start. Then we will have another one. This will be our left end. At the bottom. Pivot at the bottom. Position Y of 0. And this will be, I guess, 0 from the left. And 0.8 along the right, I'm pretty sure. It probably should actually be 0.7. Okay, so that's the actual starting positions. Let's go ahead and 0 their heights. So things are going to get a little weird, but I think we can accurately do this. So let's go ahead, go back to Plains to Woods minigame. And we are going to... this sucks. I pretty much want my Plains to Woods obstacle script to be used for the trees too, I think. Oh no, it can't. I have to change some stuff, which is fine. We're going to have, for the most part, the same stuff. Just... Jeez. Yeah, we're pretty much going to keep all of this except for the index parts. But everything else is going to be correct. I don't want to duplicate code like that, but the problem is I have to, because I'm going to change all of this. I'm not going to be using indexes, and I'm not really going to want it to assign damages or anything like that. So, all right. So let's go ahead and go to Plains to Woods minigame. We have our damages. Let's go to... How do I want to do this? Let's see, hero in position, hero area. I guess it's going to go here. So serialize field, private, rect transform. God, it's going to suck having all of these things in there. But so we'll have left tree area, followed by serialize field, private, rect transform, left tree start area, private, rect transform, left tree end area. Okay, and then we're going to pretty much do all of that, but for the right again. Yes, yes, I know. Right. 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 All right. We're going to need to cache those values. Fortunately, I don't need to cache all 6 of them. I only need to cache 3 of them because they're going to be the same, just mirrored. But this is where it sucks because I need to calculate offset plus width. Height is going to be calculated the same, fortunately. But yeah, that's kind of suck. Ah, crud. Dang it. No, that's fine. I can just reverse the offsets. So yeah, the left and right will obviously have different offsets, but they should be the exact same, just in the opposite direction. So a negative value should be fine. So I'm going to say private float tree height, well, tree area height is equal to 0f. Welcome back, Dusted. I have to say it hurts that you were gone that long, but you know, I managed to survive. Hopefully you got everything sorted out that you needed to do. We're going to say tree start width equal to 0f. Private float tree end width is equal to 0f. Private float tree start offset is equal to 0f. Private float tree end offset is equal to 0f. Goodness gracious, all of these cached values that I need to do. Okay, so after all of that, we're going to say tree area height is equal to tree area. I guess it would just be left tree area, wouldn't it? Left tree area dot rect dot height times 0.5f. Then we're going to say tree start area. Wait, what? Yeah, no, that's right. Wait, no. Tree start width is equal to left tree area. Oh, no, not that. That would be left tree start area dot rect dot width times 0.5f. Oh dear, that might not make sense anymore. No, that's... Yes, that's fine. Okay. Followed by tree... we'll say tree start offset is equal to left tree start area dot size delta. Oh geez, dot x. I think that's what I want to do. Pretty sure. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for our end values, and then we'll double check that. I'm like 80% sure that that's what we want. So end offset, left tree end area, and end area, dot size delta. All right. So we go up here. Let's go ahead and debug this value. Crap. Nope, it's anchored position. That's what I want. That makes more sense. Right, because my pivot's in the center. Okay, that makes way more sense. So this is going to be our anchored position.x, which is fine. So I was almost there. So that should get us our actual values for all of that. We are going to have to make, I guess, a new script for this, unfortunately, which is going to be our tree script. Basically the same thing as plains to woods obstacle, but a little bit trimmed down. All right, so what is happening? Let's go ahead and create C# script. It's going to be plains to woods tree. that up. You can do it, Unity! Put this in text quest. And we are basically just going to steal all of this. Just all of it. Okay. Now, it's not going to be the exact same, but it is going to be close. Oh, right. Did that wrong. There we go. Now we're going to call this tree event, too. Start scale and end scale, we do want those. We don't care about indexes anymore. Although instead, that is going to be, I guess, get rid of the public getter. Index will now be a float, and we'll say index, I guess, is fine. I'll probably rename that to be something else, though, because I don't like using the word index with a float. So we're going to say normalized position, or position, based on the capitalization. Normalized position is going to be equal to 0f. We don't care about current. Oh, no, we do care about current path index. Actually, we do need that. Cooldown, that is all fine. Cooldown is equal to speed. Index is... Well, it's not wrong. It's going to be a float there, though. Path length, start width, end width, area height. We are also going to need float start offset, followed by float end offset, and then area height. Which, okay. I think that's everything that we need there. So we are going to need to go ahead and say private float start offset is equal to 0f. Private float end offset is equal to 0f. And then we're going to want to set those. So this dot start offset is equal to start offset. This dot end offset is equal to end offset. Ta-da! Alright. Reset everything. Right. So this is where it gets kind of awkward. So our position dot x is going to be... Okay. So we're lerping between these two x values. So this one is going to be plus start offset. And the second one is going to be plus end offset. Okay. That might be all we really needed to do for that, which would be very nice. Rename that to position tree. Oh, and I guess I can make that actually private, can't I? Find all references. Yep, we can make that private. Which means that we can actually make our position obstacle here private. Hooray! And I think that's all we actually need to do here. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's go back here. Well, let's let it compile. Then we'll go to Plains to Woods minigame. Up here, we're going to not do a rect transform. Instead, we're going to do a Plains to Woods tree. That's going to be our tree prefab. We are going to, let's see, position player, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we probably want, I guess, a tree cooldown. So, let's see, obstacle speed, obstacle chance, player damaged color. I guess we'll go ahead and put it here. Serialize a field. Private float. No, this will be another thing like this. So vector 2, this will be tree cooldown. Okay, and we'll go ahead and freaking ridiculous. Okay, guess our cooldown here is going to be called private float. Ugh, I can't call it tree cooldown. Ugh, okay, give me a second here. We're going to say... Actually, you know what? I bet we can. So I'm going to rename these things. So we're going to come up here. It's going to be 1 to 2 by default. We're going to rename this to obstacle cooldown range. Rename tree cooldown to tree cooldown range. Again, go ahead and do min-max range of 0F and 10F. And that means that I can now rename these things to be rename obstacle cooldown and tree cooldown. Yay! Now things make more sense. Better naming. Let's see, what else do we want? The next thing we need to do is an update. We need to go ahead and keep track of our obstacle cooldown, or not obstacle cooldowns, tree cooldowns. So we're going to say if tree cooldown is less than or equal to 0F, else, I will say tree cooldown minus equals time.delta time. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and do tree cooldown is equal to mathf, I'm sorry, not mathf, random.range, random range, just range, based off of 0, I guess it would be the cooldown range, wouldn't it? So that would be tree cooldown range dot x, tree cooldown range dot y, based on, no, that's it, that's not alert. I keep forgetting, keep thinking that I need to make that alert for some reason. Okay, so next we are going to say plains to woods tree. Tree is equal to, oh jeez. Oh jeez. Ideally, we would actually have independent cooldowns for the left and the right, wouldn't we? Okay, that's not terrible. It just means that I'll have 2 code chunks doing the same thing. So we're going to say plains to woods tree is equal to pool manager dot request. This will be our tree prefab. And okay, this is going to be our left tree area. We're going to focus, I guess, on the left for now. We are going to say tree.initialize based off of speed, based off of, oh right, a randomized value. So I guess we'll say random.value. A start width, which will be our tree start width, tree end width, tree start offset, tree end offset, and then tree area height. Oh, am I missing something? Area, wait, what? Area height of plains woods float. Oh, I forgot my path. Right, sorry. So path length. There we go. All right. After that, oh, we need to keep track of the trees too, don't we? So we got to come up here. Pretty much do this exact same thing, except tree woods tree, or plains to woods tree. Put that. Call this trees. Come back down here. Pretty much. Oh, right. Hold on. I actually don't need on path. Actually, we can just change on cleanup. Get rid of that. We'll go ahead and move this down to here and get rid of this if check. Okay. We'll come down to here. I probably should have kept that name. I'm going to go ahead and rename that. So we're going to rename you to on cleanup, just so that there's some consistency between the two classes. Then we're going to have private void on tree cleanup plains to woods tree. There we go. And then we're pretty much just going to do what this is doing. So we're going to say tree dot on cleanup minus equals on tree cleanup, followed by, oh, you know what I'm not doing here? I need to say obstacles dot remove obstacle. I completely forgot to do that. So here we're going to say trees dot remove tree, followed by pool manager dot recycle tree dot game object. Okay, go ahead and move this up. Oh, that should be fine. Okay. One last thing to do, which will be trees dot add tree and tree dot on cleanup plus equals on tree cleanup. Okay, I think that will work. So let's try this. Whew, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. So we want a plains to woods tree here. And we should, as of right now, have trees spawning on the left. There won't be any trees spawning on the right, but that is fine for now. I'm also willing to bet that they're going to need to have their offsets or their pivots adjusted, but it should be fine. So let's go ahead and assign everything. So we need our left tree area, our left start, and our left end. I don't think we need anything from the right yet, which is good because I don't want to actually do anything with the right. So, oh crap, I forgot to assign the tree. Crap. Not gonna like that, is it? Yep. Clear that. Forgot to assign my tree. Tree. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. Let's hope that it works. Our ASCII art might be messed up. This might be really bad. We might have like an abomination on our hands. In which case, oh wow, that actually worked way better than I thought. Oh dear, that is not scaling in the way I would expect. I don't think I've set up my index correctly. I definitely have not. Oh, I know what. Hold on. So left end here actually needs to be. Let's see here. Point. We need to say negative 0.1. Yes. I think that's what we want. Go ahead and save that. And on top of that, we're not really doing anything with the lerp, are we? Let's see, word tree, index, normalized position, find all references. We should be calculating based on that. Ah, there we go. We want to do that. We don't want to do this inverse lerp stuff here. Okay, so that should give us what we want. That should give us our desired results. If you noticed, our offset seemed to be kind of weird. I'm also a little concerned that it might be going in the opposite direction that I want, which means that I just need to add a negative sign to our offsets whenever I assign them. But that should work. So now I'm hoping that we're going to have trees going from the top right to the bottom left, because that's kind of the direction we need them to go in from the left. Otherwise, it's weird perspective. So close. So close. They're like traveling in a straight line almost. Strike that. They are totally traveling in a straight line. Like, right? I'm not crazy about that. Okay, they're not quite traveling in a straight line, but they are not at all scaling as much as I would expect. Oh, no, I told it that it should, yeah, be applying this offset. Huh. Well, what the heck? Position tree, we're doing negative start width. Based on normalized position. Oh! Wait, hold on. No, that's correct. Um, hmm. Well, something I know we can do to at least get directional offset correct is, let's see, tree cooldown. We just want to pass in negative versions of these, I believe. But why? It doesn't seem like they're really tracking in a crazy way that I would expect. I feel like the diagonal movement is really subtle, and that's kind of weird to me. I don't know why it's so subtle. Um, Not sure what to do about that. Let's go ahead and try this again. I guess we'll go ahead and mute audio so you don't constantly hear the dong sound effect. Yeah, so you can see that it's going straight down, but we can't do that. That's not what we want. You have got to be doing something wrong here. Let's go back here. End offset. Is the end offset not being set correctly? Let's see. Let's go and close this. Tree area height. Start offset. Anchor position dot x. Anchor position dot x. End area. We're not really getting anything that I would expect. Huh. So if we debug this, what does it say? Its normalized position is. It's 0.96. Let's go ahead and start it when it's like right at the top. Okay, so this tree is at 0.23, which, you know, seems almost correct. Oh, this is interesting. We can't see it? Really? Oh, okay, that's weird. So yeah, that's like almost correct, but then you can see that it's not really moving that much to the left. It should be going at an angle here. What am I doing wrong there? I mean, let's go to the left end. Let's debug this stuff. So local position is negative x. So it's a pretty big position offset. Huh. Are you sure it's not the perspective plane with your eyes? Oh no, yeah, the logs are fine. So if you look at the tree, you can see that it's just going straight, but it should be going at an angle. The logs, we were able to get around this problem because they're not really factoring in the offset from the center because they are aligned in the center, so I can just use the widths. But with the trees, I have to factor in offset. And it doesn't seem like it's really doing anything. So if we select this, we can go into debug. We can see our. Oh, well, that would be interesting. And why? They have 0 offsets. Please don't be a frame buffer. Please don't be a frame buffer. Oh, how I really hope you're not a frame buffer. You're a frame buffer, aren't you? Wait, actually, hold on. No. That's interesting. It's because our anchored position is not, it's 0. So I have to do local position. Oh, okay. Interesting. So that was just me calculating the wrong thing. So I want to say local position dot x. Local position dot x. Maybe that will fix it. Hopefully this will fix it, because I'm also getting kind of tired. And I'm going to, before I forget to announce it, I'm going to be doing the Global Game Jam this weekend. So I will not be streaming on Saturday or Sunday because I will be at my office, well, my place of work, and we will be doing a game jam. So I will not be able to stream that. Although I have been trying to push them to have a Adult Swim-esque live stream cam of a giant pile of wings that just slowly goes down as we eat them through the weekend. All right, it's almost correct. It's going the wrong direction, but aside from that, it's great. Which I think just means that I need to reverse my negative values. So if we go here, I just need to change this. All right. Let's go ahead and do this. So that, reversing that negative value should correct our orientation. So now we should have trees that start at the top right and fall off at the bottom left. Hooray! Man, that was a chore to get that to work. But with that, that's basically all of the components of this minigame. I just need to finish hooking it, finish the right side for the trees, and then the last thing to do would be, let's go ahead and make this like a range of 2 to 5. And yeah, so the last thing would be I need some space up here to be used for showing the loading bar, and then I'll probably have some text that gets displayed. All right, so now it's actually going off to the left. It's still kind of subtle, which makes me think that I need to further shrink my, well, not really shrink, but move my my bottom area to the left a little bit, because I don't like that if the trees spawn on the far right, they kind of start to overlap the path. I don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and do that real quick, and then I think we'll call it a night. So left start is pretty good. Let's go ahead and say negative 0.2 with a 0.6 value there, and we'll probably actually say like negative 0.3, I think. Okay, so that should be a much more skewed angle. All right. So we're going to have that, that, that. Yeah, that works pretty well. Yeah, I like it. Okay. That, it seems to not really want to spawn. There we go. I was going to say it's not really spawning on the left. So one of the things that I need to do, you'll notice that the trees are spawning and despawning when their centers reach positions. That's because my tree's pivot is currently at its center point. We need to just change that. Actually, out of curiosity, how wonderful. We're going to change that real quick, actually. So I'm going to move my tree obstacle. We're going to put that like right here. Oh, actually, I guess we'll want to put it like right here. We are going to change our pivot to 0. And I think that's all we really need to do. So let's hit apply there. And let's see if that fixes our issue. So now when the trees spawn in, they should spawn in with their trunks on the horizon, not the leaves. If I'm right. I'm a little worried that it might actually get its pivot reset Okay, good. Perfect. Ooh, that is super awkward. Okay. Um, let's change. Where are you? Tree update. Here we are. We're gonna do that. Make it so that if it's greater than or equal to the actual path length, then we will go away. Because it was kind of disappearing a little too soon there. So I think this will make it look a little bit better. Um, so with that, we pretty much have the basis for this minigame done, which means that we can. I'll try to hook this up to the actual loading screens. Well, oh crap, I forgot. I'm not going to be able to do that this weekend, so I will do that on Monday. And if not, then we'll be hooking this stuff up on Tuesday. Oh man, I am tired. This was a long one. This is a 3-hour Devstream. But because of that, we did get some pretty nice effects. Some pretty nice work done. Let's go ahead and shorten the... Let's see, where are you? Minigame. Let's shorten our tree cooldown to like 1, 2, 3. So I can get some more trees in there. Haha! It seems to have worked. So, cool. We have player damage happening, we have simultaneous obstacles spawning, we have trees functioning. Trees actually scroll along with the logs. Although it is admittedly a little odd that they don't perfectly sync up, because they all have slightly different offsets. But, that's fine. Also seems like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess that's correct. So that's what trees look like. We'll probably have them not quite move that fast. We'll probably have it like a cooldown range of 2 to 3, maybe. I don't know. That's not too chaotic. Yeah, I think that's actually a decent speed. So like 1 to 3. And we'll probably just mirror these. So we'll have one cooldown, and whenever one tree spawns on the left, and the exact same tree will spawn on the right, just with an inverted normalized value. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten that to 1, 2, 3. And I think that's a good place to stop for the night. Because I am tired and hungry. So, for tomorrow, or not tomorrow. So again, just to reiterate my announcement, this weekend I am not going to be doing the dev stream because I am going to be participating in the Global Game Jam. Hopefully that means I have something cool to show you guys on Tuesday. We'll figure that out this weekend, I guess. But aside from that, I'll probably be on my Discord all weekend. So if anyone wants to ping me or ask any questions about the game, or I might post screenshots of what I'm working on there. Who knows? Or if you guys are doing your own Global Game Jam submissions, feel free to post them in the work in progress stuff. In any case, that is a pretty good place to stop for the night. We got player damage effects happening. We have logs scrolling down the path, sometimes having multiple ones approach at the same time, and we have trees spawning. So all that's really left is to set up trees on the right, set up the loading bar, so actually integrating into the loading screen, and then setting up flavor text to show on the horizon. So that is a good place to stop for the night. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.